And welcome back. This is K24 This Morning. My name is Chico on our social hour. Today, we are talking about sexual harassment in the workplace. And we've been asking you, what do you consider as sexual harassment in the workplace? What do you consider as sexual harassment in the workplace? That's our question to you this morning. Of course, our social media platforms are live and loaded. I'm telling you, at K24 TV on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you prefer to call, well, the numbers are at the bottom of your screen. Now, listen to this. Back in 2017, still on the same discussion, headlines, were abuzz with numerous sexual harassment scandals, like in the case involving Hollywood award-winning actress Lupita Nyong'o. And in October of that very same year, Lupita actually wrote to the New York Times how Harvey Weinstein, who is an accomplished Hollywood producer, made several sexual advances to her in the form of private dinners and massages in order to make her a star. Can you imagine that? And then listen to this other story. Former Uber engineer Susan Fowler actually wrote a detailed blog expressing her disappointment with the HR department from Uber at the time for their failure to take action against her manager, who had been sexually harassing her since 2016. Her allegations were actually dismissed by HR, who defended the manager's action and, of course, his behavior on grounds of him being a high performer. What's your take on that? And I still want to rope in the ladies on set this morning. Lucy Mutungi, HR consultant, Naomi Muliro, who's an advocate, and of course, Angelina Sikanda, program development manager at the Center for Rights Education and Awareness. Lucy. Hey. HR dismissing all these allegations because someone is a high performer.
Yes.
Wow.
It's very disappointing that it happens. I won't even come out to defend.
Yeah.
Most of the time you'll find that we are told HR, we are there to serve the interests of the company. But that now comes down to you as an individual, you as the HR professional.
Yeah.
Because you know what is right and what is wrong. So by trying to protect the company and undermining a wrong that actually happened, it means then you're also not the correct person for that particular job.
Absolutely. Yes. I tend to agree, because what do you tend to see that HR will be dismissing the very same people who they're supposed to be serving.
Yes.
And that's what that role actually means, human resource.
Exactly.
It's not about the management, it's about the people on the ground.
Yes.
And that's why people tend to shy away from reporting to HR, because they realize our HR manager or whatever is just not for us.
True.
So dismissing it is a big issue.
It is a big issue.
So before it gets even to Naomi's desk, you should have been...
You see, it should have gone through the correct process. Because sometimes when someone comes to report, the HR will say it will not even go past this office. Yeah.
Because you're not about to start taking on a board of director, or, you don't
want to do the investigation. You do everything to try and protect the company. Forgetting that you're actually supposed to be also looking out for the employees.
You're right.
Because who knows, maybe other people have also been affected. It's just this one person who's been brave enough to come and want to say this is happening.
Right.
Yes, and at the end of the day, you'll find that in such organizations, there's normally a high employee turnover, which ends up being also very expensive for the organization itself, because you start losing people because they're like, if I continue staying here, it's going to mess me mentally, physically, and also in terms of my career, I don't see it advancing. Because then people look at me as the troublemaker.
It's true.
That's
true.
So,
it's terrible.
It's terrible.
Angelina, what do you think, because she's just touched a little bit about that, the effects of what sexual harassment can actually do to someone? And we're not just saying specifically the women, but even if, it's mostly women who go through this, what have you seen?
Sorry. The trauma is real. And painful.
People get traumatized.
The first person that you share the information with usually determines whether or not, as a survivor, whether you go forward. And that's because that informs you whether if I move forward, if I go to report to HR, if I decide to go to the police, will I be believed? It depends on the first person that you speak to and how they react. So like for men, we realize that often, if a man says I was harassed, most people will often laugh.
Yeah.
And ask, what's wrong with you? Aren't you a man? Now, that does not help that person to come forward to report the incident. So when the trauma is real, the pain that this person and the discomfort that this gives to them is real. So one important thing is to believe it. The second thing about it is to allowing this person to tell their story and to share the experience in the way they understood it. Not so much in the formal or in the manner that, you know, like in the legal process that want to get it deeper into details and the environment, but let the person be able to explain to you what they went through. And then the other bit about it is that it is the right of the survivor to decide whether or not to take on the justice system on the issue or not to do so. But you cannot take away the voice of this person to say, this and this happened to me. So allowing them to be able to speak out is very important. It's the beginning of the healing process. Now, depending on the severity of the matter, then definitely they'll need psychosocial support. Definitely, if they're willing to go forward and there are grounds for culpability, then you'll be able to take the justice system on. But the first bit is believe the person and help them to move forward.
All right, I understand we've got Chico from Mombasa on the line, or Nakuru rather. Good morning, Chico.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good, my namesake. How are you?
I'm fine. Hello, ladies. Hello. I have a question and I have a comment. Let me start with a comment.
Yes.
Since 2014 up to last year, 2018, I've been working for this Asian guy as a front office. And there were instances of sexual harassment, and there were so many, from grabbing me, there's a time he spanked me. And then when all this was happening, I used to tell him to stop. You know, like, I'm stunned and I'm pissed. I could even miss like 2-3 days, tenda kazi, vitu kama hizo. Until last year around February when I was pregnant, I was 2 months pregnant. And it continued. Mpaka ikafika point unaniambia, you cannot continue working here because of your condition. I told him, there's a time when he said that, I remember he called me and he told me that. Nikamwambia, dare you fire me? Dare you fire me because of my pregnancy?
Wow.
So when I was going for my maternity leave last year, August, anakuja kwa ofisi kuniambia, now we don't give maternity leave, and now because of this, I need you to write a resignation letter. I did not write it, I left. I've taken him to court. There was a mentioning Juzi, hearing me December, but now I have a question. On this maternity leave, I know you ni sawa, you tutafuatana kabisa. But it's sexual harassment, because I had even told a colleague of mine, my accountant, even some other intern ladies, nilikuwa notice vitu kama hizo. I tried to reach out to those intern ladies to come and wakuje witness. Witnesses kotini, but only one, nilipata tu mmoja. These other colleagues of work who knew, and they are men, they have refused to come out and say they saw something. So, sir, do I need to have proof that this is sexual harassment? Because, you know, when sexual harassment is being done, it's supposed to be seen at kila mtu waone. So I have, do I need to proof? Because the only proof, if it was proof, the only proof I have is the time he told me, scratch my back, I scratch yours so that you stay at work because you're pregnant. Alinitumia message, kuniambia, oh, good evening, Stella, I'm at a certain restaurant, can you come and meet me? And I replied that message and I told him, leave me alone. Do not send me these nonsense messages. Respect me as your employee like I respect you as my boss. Do I need proof for sexual harassment? Because kesi yangu sijui vile itaenda. Because I know this man has a lot of money.
Thank you so much for that, Chico. We're going to also take your number, by the way, and your details so we can actually put you in touch with Naomi, and hopefully you can actually get advice on that. But it's so interesting that we got that call because I was just about to ask you in regards to evidence. Sarah is also on the line. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning. How are you, Chico?
Good. Thank you so much, Sarah. Karibu.
Asante. Say hi to Angeline, Naomi, and Lucy.
Okay. Umesalimika.
Okay, so my comment is, you know, us ladies, we are not by sexual harassment at the workplace.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it allow me to use Kiswahili. You know, our dress is here. It must.
Oh, unfortunately, Sarah's line is terrible. Sarah, if you can call us back, we'll really appreciate it and hear what you have to say. Unfortunately, that line wasn't a bit too clear. But speaking about evidence, it almost just feels like, by the way, it's a dead end for most people, because how will I prove in a court of law that, by the way, this person did sexually harass me? And you can hear what even Chico is saying. She has a serious case coming up.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll use Chico's case.
Yeah.
The good thing is that she has one witness.
Yeah.
She has texts. So this is sufficient evidence before the court.
Yeah.
But if you just go to court and say, I was sexually harassed, and maybe somebody's lying, that's hearsay evidence. So you must have something to back up what you're claiming. Yes.
So what are you advising someone who's going through this, that they must start collecting as much evidence as they can?
Yes.
Whatever happens, find a way.
Find a way. And there's a case that was determined in 2017.
Yeah.
The court looked at the demeanor of the claimant and the demeanor of the accused person.
Yes.
And it was quite evident that this person actually harassed this lady. And the court made a determination that the defendant had not really made the adequate defense.
Yeah.
And the lady won the case. She was awarded 600,000 as damages for sexual harassment.
Right.
She didn't have anyone to substantiate or to back up her claim.
Yeah.
But the demeanor that she had, the evidence that she presented has before court, just herself, was sufficient for the court to award her the damages.
Wow.
So it also depends with how you present yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
That's a very, very important point. Lucy, going forward, let's talk a little bit about policy within the workplace, and ideally what employees should be looking out for. Because like she had said, a lot of offices don't even really have these policies in place. So number one, we should actually, as employees, be on the lookout to see whether the company and the structure has all these things in place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You remember we keep talking about how people are eager
to
get a job immediately. They hear they've been chosen as a potential candidate. What they forget to do is the background check.
Yes.
So you'll find someone will be like, okay, let me just go with this job because there's no other job available. But the important thing these days, I always tell someone, you'd rather have peace of mind than go somewhere where you know is a toxic place.
Yeah.
So what should normally happen even is most of these companies that don't actually even have policies actually also don't have HR officers or you know, personnel.
Yeah.
So they should actually put to task maybe the business owner in terms of, okay, before I join, what are some of the policies you have in place? You know, it's not, you're not being pushy. You just also want to do things correctly. So that there's no misunderstanding along the way.
Right.
So the key thing is, we were actually discussing with Naomi before we came in about that point. I think for every business should have a policy
in place,
an employee handbook, and in the employee handbook you'll now have also the different policies. Now you'll have the sexual harassment policy
that's included.
Even how to use the office property, as in everything should be in that employee handbook.
I understand. Wait, Samuel from Rongai is actually on the line. Sorry, Angie. Let me get Samuel first and then we'll get to you. Yes, good morning, Sam. Good morning, Sam.
Morning.
Yes.
Mimi naitwa Samuel kutoka Rongai. Sasa nasikia mnaongelea about kuzuiliwa kazi. Huko na mheshimiwa mmoja ametuajiri hapa Kenya.
Oh, okay. I don't think Samuel's line is too clear, unfortunately. Okay. All right. Hopefully, Samuel unaweza tupigia tena. We will appreciate it. Getting back to you, Angeline, on this one, and this is about the blame game in regards to how long this so-called sexual harassment has taken place. The idea is that, by the way, if it is ongoing and you're kind of okay with it, you're not reporting it, then, by the way, you are also participating in this. So you can't call it sexual harassment if you're not speaking up, number one, and it still continues happening. You're not doing anything about it. So you're sort of welcoming it. So people say don't always keep looking at the perpetrator. Why aren't you also looking at the individual who has just been on the receiving end and is still living in that space and, you know, not doing anything about it?
That takes me back to what I said. And it's about believing the survivor, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, because of this kind of socialization where people don't believe the survivors, hence people get scared initially. Sometimes they're in a state of shock.
Yeah.
You're asking yourself, did I just hear that? Did my boss really say that? Is that what he meant? Or did I, you know, you're going through a whole, you know, reflection yourself to ask yourself, is that what I'm seeing? And then from that point on, then making a decision to say, wait a minute. I don't think so. I'm not comfortable. And then now learning how to say no. So it doesn't matter for how long it has happened. Unfortunately, our law actually requires that the harassment has gone on for some time.
Yeah.
And that, you know, there's a pattern that's sort of forming that this is harassment. For example, what Chico shared through her call, you can see the number of actions and the very many you know, opportunities and different ways in which the perpetrator has tried to pursue you know, her sexual advances.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing you're looking at.
Okay.
Be able to say, listen, it's not a one-off, because a one-off, sometimes people will say, oh, it was an error.
And
it was a mistake.
Yeah, and some people say, I was just complimenting you. What is the issue, by the way?
So you look at the pattern, you look at the behavior and what is intended, and look at what that means.
Yeah.
Then you're able to read through and see that indeed this is harassment. This is sexual harassment.
Right.
And therefore you can take up action at that point. And that's the point when a survivor now comes out to say, listen, I think and I know I've been harassed, and this is how this has happened. Hence what I was saying, that there's no blanket sexual harassment. You'll take it from the context. It happens.
As we wind down, Lucy, please let us know, how can I approach my HR manager with this kind of information? It's very sensitive. I also don't want to be put on blast. How do I go about it discreetly?
Actually, the first point of contact should be your supervisor if it's happening within the department. And then, but unless it's actually maybe the supervisor who is actually harassing you, then you come to the HR. You have two options. You can do an email detailing all the events, like what she has taken us through, context, phone calls, or even just the words that were used, or you can do a face-to-face. Though when you do a face-to-face, sometimes I find that
you could get emotional,
or not even emotional, like the way you would say it doesn't really bring out the seriousness of the matter. Like people will take it lightly. So I prefer if someone would write it down, because you know, when you're writing, you're thinking through things, you're reflecting. Yes. Then now from there is when now, of course, the investigations are actually supposed to begin.
For those who are in the SME sector, there is no HR in between me and the boss or the shop owner or whoever. What do I do in that case, by the way? Do I come to an organization like yours, like Crew, and say, okay, please represent me to talk to Naomi?
Sure, and we're happy to do it free of charge. So yes, you can approach organizations like ourselves. You can go to the law enforcement. You can go to the police and report. You can look for a friend and inform them, because sometimes you may not be in a position to even know how to engage. And so it's important that you speak to somebody and look for someone who can lead you to the next space. You may not even be aware of it. And they're able to help you navigate through the legal process. We do have our own laws in the country, which are also able to support you. I must also add to what Naomi has shared, that even when you leave the employment because of the harassment, you still have recourse before the law to come and say, I left because the environment was this toxic, and therefore I need my, you need to recognize that something went wrong, and therefore we need to remediate. The importance of reporting is so that it never happens to anybody ever again, and also for people to be educated that it's not right to disrespect other people's spaces, especially at the workplace.
All right. So that being said, we actually do have a couple of pointers to share with you this morning, just in case you're wondering, okay, what I said or what I did kind of term as sexual harassment? Well, we've got a board up for you to share with you to let you know what could put you in trouble. And ladies, let's just take a look at this board very quickly. Sexual harassment in the workplace. This is some of the things that could land someone in trouble.
Yes.
Crossing boundaries.
Yes.
If someone says no, please respect that. Okay, we've got leering, so I think that's what you're talking about. Just openly staring and, you know, staring at someone.
That thing for the lip.
And the eye. Oh no. Unwanted flirting. I think a lot of us actually find ourselves in this category because you don't realize what is complimenting someone and openly flirting, because you'll be like, oh, see, unakai vivi, and you know, clearly the person doesn't, you know, value that. Sharing inappropriate images is also another one. Degrading jokes or comments is another. Invalidating one's identity, that's another one. Spreading rumors about sexual past, that's another one. And this is a big one, intrusive questions.
Yes.
Why are you asking me about my private life? That in itself is already sexual harassment, and we get that a lot. Okay, so there you have it. Now you know what could actually land you in trouble. Be sure to keep that in mind, because the likes of Naomi are actually out there willing and ready to take up those cases. And you also heard what Angeline actually said. That being said, Jeff, a lot of guys are still wondering, okay, is the way I complimented that babe Jana, is that sexual harassment? Buvi was like, I can't tell you have nice earrings, and then I'm taking you to Naomi and I'm reporting you to HR.
But I think there's something that has been underscored there, Seven, is the fact that, okay, fine, if you're not sure, I think you can ask. You know, if I compliment your earrings, I think I should follow up this, by the way, Chico, are you okay with me complimenting your earrings? If you say no, then clearly there is an issue, and on Friday, I shouldn't be the first one in the office complimenting your earrings. If you respect the boundary, then you have no issue.
Absolutely.
We don't have to go to Naomi.
Yes.
We don't. Everybody is safe. Everybody is safe.
Okay, so that being said, I don't know if our director is giving us time to take a look at feedback. Okay. All right. So that being said, let's say a big thank you to, of course, Naomi, a big thank you to Angelina, and a big thank you to Lucy for joining us on set. And also a big thank you to Parminas Wainaina, CEO of Corporate Staffing Services, who gave us some fantastic statistics concerning our research today. And you've worked with him before, right? Okay, Mbuvi is actually on set. Mbuvi umesikia maneno.
Actually, I was watching it on the other side.
Yes.
And some of the conversations I was having with the other colleagues were really touchy. Guys saying that this thing called sexual harassment happens even in the most subtle ways.
Yes.
I need to be careful and know the boundaries, just like they said. So I think it's an amazing conversation, and a lot of people have learned everything that was said.
But when it comes to sexual harassment, probably the conversations shouldn't be touchy. Let's start from there. You know?
Because some people are like, okay, in my previous workplace, I was being harassed. Somebody needs to swing someone else.
Okay, that's where we draw the curtains this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on board. As always, keep the conversations going on online at K24 TV. We've got to go. We'll be back tomorrow 6 in the morning. But Samuel Jeroge, Shiksha Aurora come in on the Daily Brief from 9. All that's breaking is broken right here. If there's something happening across the country, a very vast network of reporters and correspondents will bring you up to speed as and when it breaks. We're out. Back tomorrow. Bye-bye.